Okay, so good evening to all of you. So today we are going to discuss, I'll try to introduce one new concept. Okay. So, but before that, morning we started something. First, I recall that part. Okay. Then I will go. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, in the morning we are discussing. I just recall one more time, little fast way. Right. Morning or in the previous class. Okay. So let n be a positive integer. Otherwise, n belongs to n. So n belongs to n. Then we know that. Uh, so then we are looking that these there are numbers a1, a2 up to a phi n. These are the numbers relatively prime to n. You know that number of integers less than or equal to n between 1 and n relatively prime to n or phi of n. Phi n is the Euler phi function. It is exactly count the number of integers less than or equal to n and relatively prime to n, positive integers, right? So, but since I do not know n, so I am calling them as a1, a2, a phi n, right? Then by using this, and if you take any a belongs to n, right? Any integer actually. So any integer. So a belong to z. Then a comma n GCD is equal to 1. Then what we done in the morning or in the previous class is that you multiplied with a to all these, right? A phi n. And now these will give remainder a1 dash and so on a phi n dash. Okay. Now these are also distinct we proved and they are the remainder. So they are exactly these a1, a2, a phi n, but in some order. That means a1 comma a2 and so on a phi n is equal to, so those who not joined morning class, previous class may be little difficult what is that I'm talking to understand, but you need to go through that video is available, right? Okay, so these are the two elements. So then but these are nothing but a1 modulo n, right? So a1 a2 and so on a phi n. So this is congruent to a1 dash a2 dash and so on a phi n dash modulo n. But this is nothing but a1 a2 up to a phi n modulo n. So from this we observed that so a power after doing all calculations we proved this. This is called Euler's theorem. So you all remember. So this is Euler's theorem. In particular, what is Euler's theorem says? So Euler's theorem. It is generalization of Fermat's-Little theorem. What it says? Let n be a positive integer. And a comma n GCD is equal to 1 full stop. Then what is it we have? Then a power Euler phi function. This is congruent to 1 modulo n. Then one of the student asked that you take these un, all these numbers which are relatively prime to n. Okay, a phi n. Okay, in fact this forms a group. Okay, this forms a group. So we proved that a1 comma n GCD1, a2 comma n GCD1, then the product also GCD1, like that we proved it, and it forms a group, right? Once it is a group, those who know group theory, from that they know that order of an element power order of the group is identity. So that this theorem comes very easily if you know the group theory part, Lagrange's theorem. From that it is easy, right? Okay, that is okay. But the question coming is that is it un is cyclic? Okay. So then we defined by using that. Okay, so before going to that again cyclic part also, I want to say something. So a1 power phi n equal to 1. mod n, a2 power phi of n equal to 1 mod n, like that. You take any element here, a belong to un, so b, let us say b belong to un, then b power phi of n is equal to 1 modulo n for sure. Then we asked some question, right? I constructed a set ab. What is this ab? All these k belong to natural numbers such that b power k congruent to 1 mod n. Okay, now Euler's theorem says that of course I'm assuming that b comma n gcd1. Okay, in particular b is a number from 1 to n, relatively primitive. So then this is non-empty, ab non-empty. Why it is non-empty? So phi of n belongs to Euler phi function belongs to ab, because b power phi of n equal to 1. So then this ab is subset of natural numbers and ab is non-empty, so it has a least element, right? So that least element we're calling as order of a modulo n is equal to, is the least positive integer, is the least positive integer in ab. Since it is unique, we can, this is the notation for it. So somebody can tell me what we can say about this number and phi of n, any relation between these two?
Phi of n is a multiple.
First of all, it is clearly this is less than or equal to, right? B power, so B I had to write, sorry, there is a mistake. B here and B here. First thing is that this is less than or equal to easy, but we can have more. Those who know group theory, they say more. What you can say? Order of an element divides the order of the group, right? So actually this divides this number. Okay. Let us check with one example. Okay. Let us take U12. Can somebody help me? What is U12 is? First. What is U12?
1, 2.
1. 2, no, 2 will not come. 2 comma 12 GCD is not 1.
Oh, sorry. 1,
5.
5, 7,
5, 7,
9,
very good. 9.
11.
9 will not come.
No, 11, sir.
11 will come. Okay. So good, very good. So these are the numbers which are relatively prime to 12, right? And also you can see that Euler phi function, phi of 12. So those who are, again, I'm just recalling, phi of 12 is equal to, this is 3 into 4, right? So Euler phi function is multiplicative, so it is phi of 3 into phi of 4, correct? But phi of 3 is how many integers relatively prime to 3? Only 1 and 2. 3 is not relatively, so it is here 2. Phi of 4 is also 2, we'll get 4. So we also see that there are 4 elements here, right? Now, what is order of 5 modulo 12? Somebody help me? Means what is that I'm doing? 5 square, 5 cube, like that. So 5 power 1 congruent to 1 modulo 12.
5 square.
5 square is 25. 25 is congruent to 1 modulo 12. So order of 5, this is 1. Sorry, 2. 1 anyhow 1. Order of 5 modulo, this is 2. What about order of 7 modulo 12?
Again 2.
Again 2. Very good. What is order of 11 modulo 12?
Again 2.
So is it necessary for us to check 11 is also 2? So I want to check your knowledge now, how smart you are. So why there is no need to check 11 order is 2? Any one of you?
Because we know the order of 1.
Order of 1 is 1. Order of 11 I am asking. There are various ways to you can prove without actually computing. So you know that 11 square is 120, 121 minus 1, 120. So that is 12 divides that. Order is 2 is clear. 11 square equal to 1 mod. So 7 square is congruent to 1 mod 12 and 11 square. Without computing I want now. Anyone? Yeah, Amaya, go ahead.
So 11 is the same as -1.
See, 11 is congruent to -1 modulo 12. Do not forget this, okay? Na? 11 is congruent to -1 modulo 12. So 11 square equal to -1 square. So why I need to check? N minus 1 is same as -1. Okay, that is one point. Is there any other way by group theory? By group theory approach? Any one of you?
So we can say that 11 has to have its own inverse, because otherwise there would be 5 elements.
Very good, very good, wonderful. See, if the order of 11 is not 2, it may be 3 or 4 something. It cannot be 1. Then automatically its inverse also order of that same order. So then I have 5 elements. Wonderfully told. Yeah, good, wonderful. Right? So that way also one can prove. So this is a group. But is it cyclic?
No, sir.
No, it is not a cyclic group. What is the reason? No element here is of order of the group. U12 is a group of order 4, but here none of the elements is of order 4. Okay, so this group is not cyclic. So, but so in this chapter we are going to do something. I'll prove later. Un is cyclic only when n is of these forms. Okay, when n is equal to prime number, this is one case. And n is equal to 2 into p power k also, all primes. We'll prove it. I'm not proved. Okay, I'm just telling you the main result here in this chapter. And n is equal to 2 into p power k, but here p is an odd prime. We need to prove this. P is an odd prime. And next case is there any case left? Any one of you?
Sir, could you first define what does it mean to be cyclic?
Okay, cyclic means nothing actually. There is an element in this whose order equal to the order of the number of elements in here. I'll give one example. Okay. Is it Gautam?
It's Gaurav.
Gaurav. Yeah, Gaurav. Very good. Yeah, good question actually. Very good question. Actually, I not defend actually. Very correctly you pointed out. Yeah. Anyhow, somebody can tell me, is there any case? Any one of you? This is you do not know. So those people who already saw, for them I am asking. Amiya?
No, sir. N equal to 1.
N equal to 1, then it is of course.
Okay.
N equal to 1, it is okay. Very much clear. See, only other case is that n is equal to 4 also. Otherwise, if you exclude, this is also odd prime, so you can delete this. Okay, so here you can delete this and say p is odd prime. Then n is equal to 2, 4. These are the only numbers. So what is U8? You remember what is U8?
C2 cross C2.
Oh, no, that is okay. What is U8? So do not go to that much. 1, 3, 5, 7. Here also you can see that 3 square is congruent to 1 mod 8, 5 square is congruent to 1 mod 8, 7 square is congruent to 1 mod 8. Okay, now I want to answer Gaurav. So that means what is I want to say that U8, U16, these are not cyclic groups. Don't worry about cyclic part now. What is that I want to say this part? An element A belongs to Un is primitive root modulo n. Okay, all of you careful. Please concentrate. An element A belong to Un is a primitive root modulo n if order of A n is equal to phi n, Euler phi function. That is the cardinality of Un, correct? So then we say that A is a primitive root. For example, U12 does not have primitive roots. Primitive roots modulo n.
The primitive element, right?
Primitive element. Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Primitive element. Sir, I am actually works with the nth roots of unity, so you are correct. There primitive roots come, so I told that. Yeah, thank you very much. Primitive element modulo n. Yes. Right? Okay, good. So, so U12 does not, and U8 also does not. Okay, let us work with one more example where actually primitive roots are available so that it will be clear. Okay, so Gaurav, can you help me? Can I ask few questions to you?
Sure, sir.
So can you tell me what is U5?
So 1, 2, 3, 4. So
Very good, correct. Right? Okay, good. Now let us go slowly. So 1 power, how much is congruent to 1 modulo 5?
1.
1 itself. So order of 1 modulo 5 is 1. Okay. So the least such that I will get, that is the order. So 2 power how much congruent to 1 modulo 5? Next question. Right.
4.
4 only. Why? First of all, 2 square. The order of an element, order of a 2, order 2 modulo 5 also divides phi of 5. Okay. So it divides phi of 5. What is phi of 5?
4.
4. So it divides 4. That much I know. So order can be now. What are the possibilities? Now it divides 4 means only possibilities are 1, 2, 4. You no need to check for 3. You know? Okay. Once it is 2 square is not happening, then you can directly go say that order of 2 modulo 5 is exactly equal to 4. Now what is 2 now? What is 2 is called now? 2 is primitive
Root. Primitive element.
primitive element modulo 5. Are you clear?
Okay, so you're saying that if like out of 1, 2, 3, 4, if one of the elements is dividing phi of 5, then that becomes the primitive element.
No, every element order divides,
Okay.
but exactly equal to phi of 5.
Okay.
See, what is order of 3? Tell me.
That would be 3 to the power 4.
That means order of 3, 5 is also
4.
4 only. So 3 is also primitive root.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is
So,
order?
sir, can you please adjust your mic? There's some noise coming from your mic.
I don't think so. Actually, it is maybe because of internet connection from your end. Am I correct? Other people know. Actually, I think mine is clean.
Sir, I can hear
So
you.
there's some issue with the mic, I think.
There is an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, then what to do then?
But it's okay, sir.
Yeah, actually, okay, wait, actually. So exactly when generally I observed that one thing that see 5 o'clock all people leave, right? At that moment internet connection thoda sa weak hota hai. Okay, anyhow, sorry. What is order of 4 modulo 5?
That would be 2.
2, right? Because 4 is nothing but minus 1.
Yeah.
So this is 2. So this is not a primitive root.
Okay.
But 2 divides phi of 5. Okay, sorry. Okay. So sorry for those people. This is little bit boring now. But okay, but this is the first time orders clearly defining them. So now is it clear that U5 is U5 in U5, 2 and 3 are primitive roots modulo 5,
Right.
1 and 4 are not primitive roots.
Right.
Once you have a primitive root, then actually that is that group is cyclic. Okay, I'll tell you what is cyclic means now, right? Okay, don't worry about group theory and all, but I'll tell you what is cyclic means. Okay, U5 is equal to now look at 2 power 4 equal to 1. Na? So that means that these elements, see, if you take 4, right, then 4 power 1 is 4. 4 square is how much?
16.
But that is 1 modulo, right?
Right.
What is 4 cube now again? It is again 4.
Yeah.
What is 4 power 4? Again 1. So 1 4 1 4 1 4 they will repeat. It's because minus 1, right?
Right.
Minus 1 elements. So order 2. So the same elements repeat. I'm not getting all the elements of U5 if I take 4. But if I take 2, I'll get all of them. Let us see. So 2 power 0 is 1, correct?
Right.
2 power 1 is 2. Okay. So 2 is also came. What is 2 power 3?
8.
8, but modulo 5 I do. I'll get 3.
3.
2 power 4?
16. That is 1.
1. So 2 power 4 is 1. So that is also I got. So 2 power 4 is 16, 1. So that is already we have. So one number is missing, 2 square, correct? What is 2 square?
4.
So 2 square is 4. Okay. So now look at this is nothing but 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I okay?
Right.
But of course, modulo 5. Modulo 5. Okay. So that means that now this is entire, everything is generated by 2. So 2 power something.
Right.
So that's why this is called a primitive root. Primitive root means with that I'll get every element in this.
Okay.
Then we'll say that that group is also cyclic, means it is generated by single element. Generator means it generates everything.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why it is a cyclic group and generated by this element. So in general, okay, now what is that I'm telling? U12 is not cyclic, U8 is not cyclic, means there are no primitive roots at all. Okay, but what is that in this chapter I'm going to do? Un is cyclic only when n is of the form p power k and k greater than or equal to 1 also, odd prime. And 2 into p power k, p is odd prime. But other cases 2 and 4 only. Of course, n equal to 1 also if you want, k equal to 0 lete hain, so then it will be good. Somebody told n equal to 1, yeah. So in particular, UP is cyclic. K equal to 1. UP is cyclic. Every prime you take, UP becomes cyclic. But exactly what is a generator, what is a primitive root, it is not that easy. Is it okay, Gaurav?
Yes, sir.
But of course, it is a fact only. I am not proved still. UP is cyclic or UP has a primitive root. 5 case I proved. Let us work out one more example. What about U7? Okay. So little fast way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Somebody can tell me what is the generator for this? Or primitive root modulo 7? One of it.
Sir, again 2.
Again 2 will work, right? Because 2 square.
2 cube is 1 itself.
No, it is not. 2 cube is 1. So 2 is not a primitive root. Are you okay?
Okay, so when we have to take the order, we are taking the minimum value that it takes to get.
Right. So now see here the order of 2 modulo 7 is 3. This is 3. But what is phi of 7?
6.
6. So 3 divides 6. That is always true. So this is not. 2 is not. What about 3? 3 to check करेंगे. What is order of 3? Okay. So 7. So what is 3 square?
2 mod 7.
2. Very good. Wonderful. It is 2. So not 1. No problem. What about 3 cube?
Again 6.
6. So it is order is now going to be 6 only. 3 cube is also not 1. 3 square is not 1. 3 power 1 is not 1. So 3 power 6 only becomes 1. So that means that 3 is a primitive root. Is it okay? Okay or not okay? Venkata, is it fine with you? A primitive element.
Sir, so if the order of the element divides the order of the group, we call that element primitive element.
No, that is not I told. See, order always divides. Order equal
Sorry,
to
if the order of the element is same as the order of the
order of that between phi of 6. So it is actually phi of 7.
Oh, sorry.
Then only that element 3 is called primitive element modulo 7. Right? What is other element here, which is also primitive root without actually computing? Now we can tell easily. What is inverse of 3?
5.
Okay, good. Now we can check 5 also works. Okay, because orders of element and its inverse are same. Okay, and these are the only two primitive. Why? Because number of primitive roots, this also I will prove later. So those who have group theory core, they know that is number of generators are phi of order of the group. So it is phi of 6. It is equal to 2. So the number of generators are phi of n in general for un. Okay, provided un has a generator. Means un is cyclic or primitive root is there first. Otherwise, no. This number may be positive number, but there are no primitive roots at all. So we will talk about this only when already there is a primitive root modulo n. Okay, so I hope it is not very heavy. But I request all of you, I'm not proved, but I request all of you to remember one thing, that UP is cyclic. And so cyclic means it has a primitive root modulo n. So for safe side in future, so P is a prime number. If P is prime, UP has a primitive root modulo P. So call it as R. What is the meaning of that one? What is the meaning of that R is a primitive root modulo P?
R is equal to phi of P.
Order of R equal to phi of P. Thank you. Okay. What is the other way to again to say? In UP, X belong to UP implies what happens?
That x is of the form r to the power k.
Very good, wonderful. I write actually.
P.
I write wonderfully. It is because online, if no one says like this, then it is difficult. Right? There exists a k belong to n such that x belong to UP implies there exists a k belong to n such that x equal to r power k. That is the beauty of the primitive roots. Every element is r power something. So I am now, this is very useful, handy. Okay. So every element is expressed as one element only. So it is easy for me to work in future. Okay. In particular, so those who are from economics, for them it is very useful. Why? why Sar is telling me these things are useful for economics. Okay, these are the things useful in digital signature and mm, financial things. See, you have a cyclic group. Actually, this is called discrete logarithms. Actually, okay. So, for example, so you have a group G or something like generally UP you can take, but P is very big prime. Okay, then you know that UP has a generator, means primitive root. So then every element here is written as that R power K, right? So generally what happens is that in the communications, right? In the financial business, financial thing. So we need to share secrets. So then Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol. There is a Diffie-Hellman, two people, they created this. Okay, what that I want to say that so X and R are known, but we know that the person who is sending the information, he not share K. Okay, so like that. So, but computing K, once you know X and R is very difficult. We know that X is in UP and R is a generator. That also I will give you. But even then, it is very difficult for you to compute K. Very hard problem. So that people will use in the financial transaction so that no one can, it is secure. Okay. Don't worry. I will come back to this later. Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Above, how did you get 5 of 6 is equal to 5 of 7?
You have some doubt here.
Yes, sir. How did you get this 5?
Phi of n. Actually, I need to prove it. But see, so are you doing group theory course?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'll just tell you. Other people also can listen. So if G is cyclic,
Yeah.
the number of generators equal to phi of order of G. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for example, order of G equal to say n, the numbers which are relatively prime to n, I will collect. Okay, they are all means. See, what is that I want to say? You can also observe easily. That's not a big problem. G cyclic means what?
That every element is.
Is it expressed as some R? It is generated by R, right?
Yes.
I want to find all generators, right? Now,
Right.
exactly what are the generators? R power K, where K comma n GCD1, then that is also generator. How many generators are there? Exactly those those K's K comma n GCD1.
Okay.
So that is exactly the phi of n. But what is n? N is order of the group. So this is a generator, means that is a primitive root again. Okay, that's why all this. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, you'll
But,
show this again. 5 of
yeah,
5.
I'll prove it later. In fact, I'll prove it. But you want one more example? I can give you. See, you know this example. All of you may know. -1 I minus I. Okay, is it a cyclic group?
No.
Cyclic group generated by I.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
I power 4 only 1. Right? So
Yeah.
in fact, what is that happening here? I power I square is -1. Correct?
Right.
I power 4 is 1. I power 1 is I power 3 is minus I. Right?
Yes.
So I is a generator. Now minus I is also generator, but minus I is, now look at which one is generators here. Is it a generator? Is it generates? What is I square?
No, it's not.
I square, but now 2 is there. 2 comma 4 GCD is not 1.
Okay.
I power 4 is how much?
Minus. Sir, 1.
1 is not a generator.
Yeah.
But I power 1 is generator. I cube is also generator.
Okay.
Now these 1 and 3 plays a role because see, this become 1 even power 2. Inka how much I'll do, I'll get 1. right? Are you following? This number I square, how much, what is the order of this element?
2.
2. Why? If I do power 2, I'll get identity. So it is not getting identity, it is coming identity before 4. Okay. So which elements I will not get identity before 4? Only when these are not GCD1. Okay, so that is the one way to prove. Okay, but don't now worry about. I'll prove later. Is it some sort of convinced?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now actually I'm proving some. Now I'm actually starting the class, today's class. Okay. Okay. So think what is that I want to say now is that I'm defining something. Okay. Yeah. But before that, take one small break. Okay. So any questions?
So the K thing you were discussing about earlier, the Diffie-Hellman something.
Ah,
So how is K hard to compute? You just take log on both sides, right?
that is called discrete logarithm. That is not easy to compute.
Means K is equal to log x by log r.
So now it is not that logarithm. It is called a discrete logarithm. See, that is a group actually. In a group, I want to find the exponent.
Oh, okay. Sorry, sir. I just took it.
Yeah, that is called discrete logarithm, and that is very difficult actually to compute.
Yes, sir. I just took it as a normal inequality.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is also important actually as you go forward. Okay, this quadratic residues. Today I'm going to introduce quadratic residues. Okay, so it is a chapter 9. Don't worry. So you do not need any new things to understand this. Okay. Let P be an odd prime. Let P be an odd prime. Okay, and A comma P GCD is equal to 1. Okay. So I took these two things. Let P be an odd prime and A comma P GCD1. In entire this chapter, okay, P is an odd prime. And so now we'll going to consider, okay, the quadratic congruence. If the quadratic congruence, x square is congruent to A modulo P has a solution if the quadratic congruence has a solution, then A is called quadratic residue modulo P. I'm not writing quadratic residue here, right? So quadratic residue modulo P. If there is no solution, otherwise, okay. Otherwise, A is called quadratic non-residue modulo P. So every Friday, another 1 or 2 Fridays, I will do this part only, quadratic residues. So I request all of you remember carefully. Nothing. First I started that let P be an odd prime, A comma P GCD1. So for A comma P GCD1 is necessary. And then we are considering this. X square is congruent to A mod P has a solution. Then A is a quadratic residue modulo P. Otherwise, A is not a quadratic non-residue modulo P. Means I fix A, right? I am looking, is there a solution for it? If the solution is available, then we say that quadratic residue. It is like a square root, right? So square root of a is equal to a, right? So square root exists or not? Square roots play an important role. If you take real numbers, -1 does not have a square root. All negative real numbers does not have square root, right? So in the fields also we are facing problems. That is the, so we came to now ZP modulo P. So is the definition clear? I'll give example, but is the definition clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll explain so that much more clarity will come. Let us take P is equal to 13. Okay. So I want to find what are the quadratic residues and the quadratic non-residues. Okay. So is it x square is congruent to 1 modulo 13? Is it has a solution? What is that I put here? So what is the numbers you need to take? 1, 2 up to 12.
One.
1 satisfies. Wonderful. So this equation x square equal to 1 mod 13 has a solution. Because of that, 1 becomes a quadratic residue. So this equation has a solution, then 1 is called quadratic residue. Is it okay? Can somebody give me one more solution to this?
12.
Hmm?
12.
12. Very good. 12 is nothing but -1 or 12. Yeah, correct. So that is also a solution to it. Now come to x square is x square congruent to 2 modulo 13. Okay. Is it a quadratic residue?
Oh, yes, sir. 2.
2 and 11.
Oh, sorry.
2 cannot be. 2 square is not congruent to 2 modulo 13. 11 also will not work. Okay. So now we are facing little problem, right? What is the problem we are facing? I have to substitute 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up to 12. 12 I cannot. 11 I have to substitute all these and check. At least one time I am getting 2, then become 2 I put here. Otherwise I'll put in this box, right? So instead I will do one thing. Okay. Let us first try x. 1 square is congruent to dash mod, right? 1 square is congruent to mod 13. Can somebody help me? 1 square is congruent to what?
1.
1 only, right? So 2 square is congruent to what?
4.
This is 4. 3 square is congruent to 9 modulo 13. Still no problem, right? They are less than. 4 square is congruent to what?
3.
4 square is congruent to 3 modulo 13. Correct. Okay. Now what about 5 square?
12.
12. Huh? Okay. What about 6 square?
10.
So how fast you are doing? 6 square 36. 36 26 correct. 10. 10. Okay, 10 correct. Okay. Good, very good. So now I no need to compute 7 square. Somebody help me why I no need to compute 7 square.
6 is congruent to -7.
Minus 6 mod.
So actually this is 13 minus 6 only. Okay, it is equal to -6 whole square, right? It is equal to 6 square. So this is already congruent to 10, right? So 8 square, 9 square, 10 square, 11 square, 12 square. I no need to do because 12 square again become 1 and all. Okay. So now can you predict that what are the quadratic residues now?
Oh, 1, 4, 9, 3.
Very good. Yeah, these are the quadratic residues because x square equal to 1 mod has a solution. X square equal to 4 mod has a solution. X square equal to 9 mod has a solution. X square equal to 3 mod has a solution. X square equal to 12 mod has a solution. So These are quadratic residues. Remaining are quadratic non-residues. So somebody can tell me now. I am just putting little down here. How many of you recalled? Let us see. 3, 1, 3. So here 12, right? Here 10, 4, 9, right? These are the, how many are there?
Six.
Why 6 actually? We ask this question. Ask this question to yourself. Okay, now what are the remaining? So 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, right? Yes. These are quadratic non-residues. Modulo 13. Okay, I give a bigger one, right? Now, can you try for other numbers? So we'll explore. We'll explore and we'll conjecture many things. Okay. One minute. Yeah. So can you try for 7 in the mean? Okay. So first for 3, can you try first? What are the quadratic residues and what are the quadratic non-residues?
For what? 3.
3, 3. I'm asking for 3. When p is equal to 3, what are the quadratic residues? Yes. See, we need to check x square is congruent to 1 modulo 3 and x square is congruent to 2 modulo 3. So which one has solutions? Both of them are only one or what? One, right? So one anyhow quadratic residue hai. Is it 2 also quadratic residue? 1 square is not congruent to 2 modulo 3. 2 square is also not congruent to 2 modulo 3. So this is not quadratic residue. Okay, so then what is happened? So quadratic residues are only one. Quadratic non-residues are only two. Okay, let us go little fast now. So can you tell me now? Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me for
1,
yeah, one anyhow will come, right? Very good. One will come.
1, 4.
1, 4.
That's it.
What about these?
2, 3.
2, 3. You can check that 2 cannot satisfy. You can check x square is congruent to 2 modulo 5. I request you to check, you will realize. What is that you realize? It does not have a solution. 1 square is congruent to 2 modulo 5. 2 square is congruent to 2 modulo 5. 3 square, 9. 9 minus 2 not divisible by 5. So it is not. Okay, 2 and 3 both are quadratic non-residues. Okay, one more example so that that I think you will be comfortable. 7 also will take. P equal to 7.
Sir,
Hmm.
so why are we just checking for remainders 1 and 2?
So that is sufficient. Na? See, we need to check only for the, we are looking in again UP only.
Okay.
Other numbers anyhow, they are equal to this before. Means see,
Right, so 3 would be minus 2 mod 5.
like the remaining are not required. Okay, fine. So let us work for P equal to 7 in final case. Huh? So quadratic residues and quadratic non-residues. So Kaushik, I think today may not be possible. Let us see. So tell me what are the quadratic
1,
residues?
3.
1, 3 also.
Sorry, 2.
No. So 3 is there or not means what? X square is congruent to 3 modulo 7 has a solution.
No,
Right?
I meant 2 cell in that case. X square is
Ah.
congruent to modulo 7.
Which one? X square is congruent to 2 modulo 7. What is that x?
3.
3, 3. Okay. So 3 square is congruent to 2
2
modulo.
modulo 7.
Yeah,
So
correct.
2
correct.
must.
Actually, basically, what is that you are doing is that 1 square Carlo, 1 square, 2 square, and 3 square. 2 square is congruent to what? 4, right? And 3 square is congruent to 2. So 1, 2, 4. These are the quadratic residues. What are quadratic non-residues?
Very many.
3,
3,
5,
6 and
5, 6.
3, 5, 6. Okay, these are the quadratic non-residues, right? So can you now you is it these examples are sufficient to make some conjectures or something? Whatever you are getting, you can say.
So they partition the group in half.
Half, okay. So what is the meaning of that one? Means you are telling that number of quadratic residues, cardinality, equal to how much?
P minus 1 by 2.
P minus 1 by 2. Very good. Number of quadratic non-residues also
P minus.
P minus 1 by 2 because sum is equal to P minus 1. Exactly, they are partitioning. Very good. Wonderful observation. Okay. What next? Any other observation you made?
Product of quadratic residues.
But is there any, how do you prove that it is exactly P minus 1 by 2?
So, I have an
Okay.
algebraic
It's phi of p by 2, so phi of p is p minus 1.
No, that is okay. So, see, first of all, if you prove that it is P minus 1 by 2, then it is also P minus 1 by 2. I understand. Right. One of them is P minus 1 by 2. We need to prove. Okay. So, don't worry. So, I am asking conjecture. So, good conjecture you made. So, we will prove that now in a while. Yeah. So, but Kaustav is ready to prove, right?
Can I? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So if A is a quadratic residue, then P minus A would also be a quadratic minus A would also be a quadratic residue.
No.
And since P is odd, we know that.
No. That is not correct.
Right. Sorry. I meant if P if A is the square root of
No, that's what.
A.
Kaustav, I'm just helping you. Is 1 is a quadratic residue modulo 7?
Yes. Yes, sir.
6 is not quadratic residue modulo 7. N minus 1, P minus 1 is 6. 6 is not quadratic residue. You see
No,
that?
I misspoke. I meant square roots. So what we put for x.
Okay.
So that way.
Okay. So let us have
I think I got mixed.
No problem.
Yeah,
let us have a clarity. Let us have a clarity now. My goal is to prove that cardinality of QR, number of quadratic residues, is P minus 1 by 2. How do you prove it? Yeah, the question is clear now. Yeah, but okay, before going to that proving, do you have any other observations you want to make, conjectures, by looking all these examples?
Their powers of 2.
Product of quadratic residue is again a quadratic residue.
Okay, so I don't know how you got, but you are saying that product of quadratic residue again a quadratic residue. Product of quadratic residue is again a quadratic residue. Okay, so how can you see that? So let us take A is a quadratic residue. A belong to quadratic residue, B belong to quadratic residue. I'm just saying set of, okay. I hope you understand from the context. A is a quadratic residue, B is a quadratic residue, I want to show AB is also quadratic residue. But what do you mean by A is quadratic residue? Meaning is that x square congruent to A mod P has a solution. I need to tell quadratic residue modulo P also. And you are telling that B is also quadratic residue. That means x square is congruent to B modulo P as also a solution. But how do you prove that AB is also has a solution? So it has a solution. Okay, let us say I'll give more clarity. This has a solution means there exists x naught. X naught square is congruent to A mod P. So there is an x naught. There is an x1. X1 square is congruent to B mod P. This x is a variable here. Now it has a solution means x naught of x1 exists. Yeah, please.
Then x naught multiply these two.
X naught into x1 square is congruent to AB modulo P. Very good, correct. So you proved it. You have done proof also. Okay, good. So this is done. So product of quadratic residue is again a quadratic residue. Wonderful. Yeah. Any other observation?
They're powers of 2.
Sorry, they are?
Powers of 2.
No, powers of P, I'm not clear. What is powers of P means?
2.
Powers of 2. No. Actually, powers of 2, I'm not understand actually. So an element A is a quadratic residue means x square equal to A mod P has a solution. That much. Okay, anyhow, you want to say something, but I'm unable to grasp that.
He's looking at P
So
equal to
is
7.
it cyclic?
Which one is cyclic?
A QR.
So first of all, cyclic, before cyclic, it is a group. That's what you need to ask, right? Set of all quadratic residues forms a group. But in that respect, you already proved something. What is that you proved?
It is a group. You proved that
not
AB is in.
You proved that it is closed under multiplication. That much you proved.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but
sir.
you not proved that inverse exists.
Inverse. Yes, sir.
But let us see what is the inverse. So let us look at 13 and try to understand. What is the inverse of 1? 1 only. No problem. What is inverse of 3? Meaning 3 into how much is congruent to 1 modulo 13.
So 9.
9. Okay, 9 into 3 is 27. Yeah, correct. Exactly. Very good. But 9 is also quadratic residue. That means 3 is a quadratic residue, then its inverse 3, that is also quadratic residue. Okay, good. Now 4. Let us take 4. 4 into how much is 1 modulo 13? Right? 4 into 2, 4 into 3, 4 into 4, 4 into 5.
So 4 into 10.
4 into 10, 40. Okay, good. 10. Now 4 and 10 also working. Good. 12 anyhow, its own inverse. 12 is minus 1, its own inverse. So that is also working as such. Okay. So it is looking like it is a group. Okay, wonderful. But whether it is cyclic or not, we don't know. But it is a group. But we need to prove rigorously. But observation is good. Good observation. It is a group. Set of all quadratic residues themselves forms a subgroup.
Sir, it will be cyclic, right? Because
let us work out. Okay, let us work out so that simple case will work out.
ZP star is a cyclic group, right?
That is a cyclic group. Okay, now you are telling that any subgroup.
Residues will be a subgroup of ZP star.
See, so Amiya is telling something. Every subgroup of cyclic group is cyclic. You proved it, right? So those who done in the group theory, they may know. Don't worry about Gaurav. All those things. So yeah, so it is in fact that is also cyclic. Okay, so answer is correct. Yeah, we'll prove later, but yeah, I'm not going to that because some people may not know group theory. Yeah. Okay. Any other observations you want to make? half of them are quadratic residues, half of them are non-quadratic non-residues. Wonderful. And product of quadratic residues, again quadratic residue. In fact, you proved it is a group. So good. Next. Any other property?
So could you scroll up again?
Okay.
Yeah. So like one thing that would follow from the fact that that quadratic residues cardinality is p minus 1 by 2, it would follow that primes of the form 4k plus 3 will have an odd number of quadratic residues, and of the form 4k plus 1 will have an even number of quadratic residues.
Yeah, very good. That one is even though trivial, but is very useful as you go forward. Very, very useful, because see now p is of the form 4k plus 3, then it is 2k plus 1. So they are odd and very good. That is a wonderful, but it is also useful later. Yeah. But not very, very big observation, but very good observation. Yeah. Any other? Then automatically, when p is of the form 4k plus 1, cardinality of quadratic residues is p even. Good. So now somebody can help me how to prove that the number of quadratic residues is exactly p minus 1 by 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I have an algebraic argument.
Why that much? Okay.
Don't need it.
Actually, see, okay. Okay, just wait, Amia. So somebody else I will check with. So is any one of you prove? See, you see that earlier when we are computing, you look at 13, what we done. 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square, up to 6 square. Afterwards, we not done. Okay. But now, 1, 4, 9, 3, 12, 10. These are all quadratic residues modulo 10. Right. So these are all quadratic residues, fine. But these are all distinct also I need. If they are distinct, I am done. Are you following?
So could you repeat?
See, 1 square is 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square. What are the numbers we get here? They are automatically quadratic residues. Am I correct?
Right, sir.
How many are there? Up to what extent I am going? 1, 2, up to p minus 1 by 2, right?
Yeah.
So if these are all distinct, then I'll get exactly p minus 1 by 2 quadratic residues. Then?
Right.
Right. So what is that I want to show now? If I take any two of them, they are distinct. Modulo 13. Right. In general, modulo p. Let us work out that. Let us work out that. What is that I am saying? Now you take numbers. So you take two numbers x comma y belong to 1, 2 up to p minus 1 by 2. Okay. Now assume that x square is congruent to y square modulo p. Then what happens? Let us check. What is your goal? These are all distinct. Squares are distinct. Squares are distinct. I want to show. In order to show, sorry, can you repeat?
That x should be equal to y.
Very good. X equal to y, I need to show. But what is that? Before proving that, what is that I have? X is belongs to 1 to p minus 1 by 2 means x is greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to p minus 1 by 2. Same with y. Just I am writing all the things which we have. Okay. Now, if x is not equal to y, then one of them, y minus x or x minus y, is positive, right? Or this is positive. This also we know. Okay. Just keep all the with us. And what do you know about x plus y? Lies in between. Do you have idea?
2 and p minus 1.
Yes. Right. So this is also okay. Now, from this, what is that we conclude? So actually, I am not proving. I am just giving the details so that in future, you know, no need of me or somebody. You can prove on your own without any doubt.
P
Okay.
divides x plus y or x minus y.
Right. So see, p x square is congruent to y square mod p implies p divides x square minus y square. This is equal to x minus y into x plus y. Correct? But p is a prime number. In the prime number, we have that result that p divides x minus y or p divides x plus y. Okay, now p does not divide x plus y. Why?
So
That is
p is less than equal to
Less
p
than
minus
p.
1.
here, this number is greater than 2, less than p minus 1. So p does not divide. We already know this. P does not divide x plus y. This part is okay. So then obviously only thing left is that p has to divide x minus y. This implies x equal to y actually. Equal to. Congruence, everything gone now. They have to be equal. Right? Yeah, so that is the thing. So what is that we proved is that these are all squares, 1 square, 2 square up to p minus 1 by 2 square. They all give different numbers modulo p. That's why these are not quadratic residues. Be remember, what are the their squares I will do, and those are the numbers. If somebody asks you write a program and find out what are the quadratic residues, then you can do easily. Just do 1 square, 2 square up to p minus 1 by 2 square. You'll get all the quadratic residues. No problem. But that is not the question. The question is that I'll give some x to you. Okay. And this is also difficult. There are, when p is very, very large, then all these numbers are also large. Okay. So, and checking problem. So actual problem is that you give a and I give some prime p. The question is asked is that is a is a quadratic residue modulo p or not? That means by definition it is only one. X square is congruent to a mod p as a solution or not. But is there any intelligent way to do that? That we will see now. But before going further, somebody want to say a few more observations here by looking this. So in particular, you check 13 and 5, you can get something. and 5. Let us say. So are you able to see some quadratic residues have much more structure here?
Sir, if x belongs, x square also belongs.
No.
Oh, then one minus of
Minus.
x minus of x is also.
See, 1 is there. Now 13 minus 1, 12. That is also quadratic residue. 3 is a quadratic residue. Then 13 minus 3, 10 is also quadratic residue. Right? So that's what here the p minus 1 by 2 even is very useful. What Gaurav observation is wonderful. So how many I need to know now? 1, 3, 4 only. So 13 minus 1 is 12. 13 minus 3 is 10. 13 minus 4 is 9. So exactly half. So even that comes here. So that means if x is a quadratic residue, then somebody help me.
Then
What is that?
13 minus
P
is
minus
also a
x.
quadratic.
P minus x is also quadratic residue. In particular, minus x is also quadratic residue. Right? But that is not happened in 3 also, you can see. In 3 itself, 1 is a quadratic residue, but minus 1 is not quadratic residue. 5 it is happened, 1 and 4. But in 7 again you see that 6 is not quadratic residue, it is a quadratic non-residue. Is it accidental or we already done it? Okay.
Yeah,
so, we done it. Okay. So let us see what is that we done and let us check that. So let P be a prime number. Okay. Let P be a prime number of the form. So I done few times, but again I'll repeat. It is very, very useful. Of the form 4k plus 3. Okay, 4k plus 3. Then what is the conclusion? Then x square congruent to minus 1 modulo p. Can you complete? Has no solution. You remember I given this in the exam also. Okay, but how do you prove this one?
E divides x plus 1 or x minus 1. You take that.
No. See,
Raise both sides to the power p minus 1 by 2.
see, actually, suppose prove by contradiction. See, at least now onwards, please do not forget the proof. Okay. Suppose it has a solution. Suppose this has a solution. What that means? X naught. X naught square is congruent to minus 1 modulo p. If it has a solution, then what happens from here? Very simple proof. X naught square power p minus 1 by 2 do. See, Gaurav observed, na? P minus 1 by 2, when p is of the form 4k plus 3, what you can say about p minus 1 by 2?
That is
It
even.
is even.
Even or odd?
Even.
No, 4k plus 3 form.
Yeah. So so odd.
Odd. This is odd, right? That's what you told in the quadratic residues are odd. Huh? So it is odd. So minus 1 power odd, what you get?
-1.
Minus 1. But what is that 2 gets cancelled? X naught power p minus 1. X naught power p minus 1 is congruent to what modulo p?
-1 modulo p.
No, that is here we are getting, but actually x naught power p minus 1 is congruent
Modulo
to
p.
1 modulo p. That is Fermat's little theorem.
Right.
So I am getting a contradiction. Simple. Very nice. Fermat's little theorem say I am getting contradiction. Suppose this has a solution, then x naught square is congruent to -1 mod p, but now I do p minus 1 by 2 on both sides. Okay, I hope next time onwards we will not forget this proof. Okay, very useful. Okay, but how do you prove that x square equal to -1 mod p when p is of the form 4k plus 1 has a solution? Okay, so that is we've done by Wilson's theorem. Okay, but whatever it may be, before going to that, I want to tell one point here. -1 is not a quadratic residue modulo p when p is of the form 4k plus 3. This is important. But -1 is quadratic residue modulo p when p is of the form 4k plus 1. Now from this, how do you prove that if x is a quadratic residue, minus x is also quadratic residue? Ami, I do not tell. Wait. So I am giving that x is quadratic residue modulo p, which is of the form 4k plus 1. Then how do you show that minus x is also quadratic residue? Minus x means p minus x. Both are same. Modulo p. We done in this class only. We done that part also in this class. Yes, any one of you?
So we can say x minus 1 is congruent to p mod p, and then minus p plus 1 on both sides.
No, that much is not there. We done today. Minus x equal to, how do you write? -1 into x, right?
Yes, sir.
That much only. Now can you tell the proof?
Okay. Minus x square minus 1 square is 1. So you
No,
get it equal to it.
not that also. See, are we done that? Are we done that? A is a quadratic residue, B is a quadratic residue.
Then AB is also quadratic residue.
That we proved right today. That's what exactly I wrote here. -1 is a quadratic residue. X is a quadratic residue given. This is given. This is we need to prove. So, but we saw that -1 is a quadratic residue modulo P when P is of the form 4k plus 1. In that case, X is a quadratic residue, -1 is a quadratic residue, then minus X, -1 into X, that is also quadratic residue. That's why only half of them are sufficient to find here. Okay, good. Is it clear or not clear, Vishal?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
It's clear. Okay. But see, to prove that -1 is a quadratic residue, just I'll give quick proof again. See, you know that Wilson's theorem. Wilson's theorem says that P-1 factorial is congruent to -1 modulo P, right? Now, when P is of the form 4k plus 1, then what happens? So 1 into 2 into 3 into P minus 1 by 2 into, so P plus 1 by 2 up to P minus 1, congruent to -1 modulo P, right? But this is nothing but minus of, this is minus of P minus 1 by 2. Like that, this is P minus 1. Nothing actually, P minus. So what is that I want to say, that this 1 and this P minus 1, 2 here P minus 2, right? So, but the only thing is that when you do modulo P, so when you do modulo P, this P becomes 0. So what is that we're going to get? So 1 into 2 into up to P minus 1 by 2 into, here we'll get -1, -2 up to minus P minus 1 by 2. These minus, huh? But how many are there? How many minus are there? That is again Gaurav, even odd business will work. P is of the form 4k plus 1, right? So how many total, how many are there, right? So P minus 1 by, this is even, this is also even. So minus, how many minus will come? Even number of minus. So this is 1 into 2 into up to P minus 1 by 2 square is congruent to -1 modulo P. So that is actually the, so X square is congruent to -1 modulo P has a solution. What is the solution? X is equal to P minus 1 by 2 square factorial. Yeah, this is the answer. If you square it, I'll get -1. And one more solution is minus of this. Okay, good. Any questions? Till now, what is that we done? All of you, those who are here, be careful, be attentive. We are looking quadratic residues. I defined that. A is a quadratic residue modulo P if X square is congruent to A modulo P has a solution. Otherwise, it is quadratic non-residue. Till now, we observed that P minus 1 by 2 are quadratic residues, P minus 1 by 2 are quadratic non-residues. Correct? Right. Yeah. And -1 is quadratic residue when P is of the form 4k plus 1. Otherwise, it is not quadratic residue. These are the things we just now completed. Now we will go to the one of the main result. Okay. So that is what we call Euler's criteria again. So I'll go a little slow. Okay, this is very, very useful. What is that theorem says is that let P be an odd prime and A comma P GCD1. Okay, so I want to check whether when A is a quadratic residue or not, but instead of stating theorem, so first explore, then it will be beneficial for us. Okay, so question is that when is A is a quadratic residue, when is not. Okay, so A is quadratic residue modulo P if and only if. What is the condition? So that we are looking. Okay, so let us check. Then we'll state. Maybe you yourself may state. So that's why I'm keeping space here, gap here. Okay. Okay, let us go slowly. Suppose that A is quadratic residue modulo P. What is the meaning of this one? Implies what? When A is a quadratic residue?
X
It is
square
congruent to A mod
A mod P.
X square is congruent to A mod P. No, it is. You should not stop there. X square equal to A mod P has a solution. Then only it is. So you should not stop X square equal to A mod P. No. X square equal to A mod P has a solution. Then we'll say that A is a quadratic residue. So he has a solution. So let us say the solution as X naught. Let's say X naught be the solution. Okay. X naught be the solution. What is that meaning? Meaning is X naught square is congruent to A modulo P. Okay. So this is also same as A is congruent to X naught square modulo P. Means congruence is symmetric. Equivalence relation. Okay. What next I will do? So now what is the GCD of X naught comma P? A is a quadratic residue. Then what is the GCD of A comma P by definition?
1.
1. Now X naught comma P GCD also 1. You already told, so I am writing. Why it is 1? If it is not 1, then it should be P. If it is P, then P divides X naught. So now this X naught square P divides this, so it becomes 0. But A is not 0. So this is always there. So now can you say something? You have a P is a prime number and X naught is an integer. X naught comma P GCD 1. So can you recall some result or theorem?
X naught to the power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 mod P.
P. Very wonderful. So by Fermat's-Little theorem, right?
Yeah.
So how do you use here? Okay, this is observation. Just we keep it. So what is that I do here to apply this here? What is that I do?
Power P minus 1 by 2.
Right. A power. Yeah, good. A power P minus 1 by 2 is equal to X naught square power P minus 1 by 2 modulo P. Right. So this implies what we are getting. We are getting that A power P minus 1 by 2 is congruent to
1 modulo P.
1 modulo P. See, we know that A power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo P, we know. But A power P minus 1 by 2 congruent to 1 modulo P coming, provided when it is coming, when A is a quadratic residue. So that is a theorem statement. So A is a quadratic residue modulo P. A power P minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 modulo P. Okay. But before going to that, so what is this result is saying? So for example, you are a computer person, so you want to write programs and all. So somebody gave you prime number and an integer A comma P GCD 1. Okay. So they asked you to check whether it is a quadratic residue or not. So definition says that A is a quadratic residue only when X square equal to A mod P has a solution. So I need to keep checking 1, 2, 3 up to p minus 1 by 2. I substitute and check. No need to substitute all the numbers. P minus 1 by 2 up to p minus sufficient. But p is very large. So instead of that, what is Euler's criterion is saying? Simply do a power p minus 1 by 2. Of course, now again you will ask me that p is large, then p minus 1 by 2 is also large. How can you compute a power p minus 1 by 2? But in computers, there is a nice algorithm, repeated squaring, some technique is there. With that, we can compute. But don't worry about. But what is that I want to say now? It is a clean formula we are getting. A power p minus 1 by 2 equal to 1, then it is a quadratic residue. Otherwise, it is not quadratic residue. But we'll bring it what exactly also later. If A is not quadratic residue also. What is exactly this value, a power p minus 1 by 2? I'll bring in a while. But are we done this proof completely? Achila?
So we proved one way.
We proved one way. If A is a quadratic residue, then we proved that a power p minus 1 by 2 congruent to 1 mod p. But we not proved other way. Wonderful. Right? Now the converse part we need to prove. What do you mean by converse part? Please.
A power p minus 1 by 2 congruent 1 modulo p implies that A is a quadratic residue.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, Klein, what is that we need to prove? A is quadratic residue modulo p. This I want to show. Here, so that business comes. Which business comes? UP is cyclic. UP has a primitive root modulo. UP has a primitive element. Say R. Okay. What is the meaning of that? R power p minus 1 is congruent to order of. So that means order of R p is equal to p minus 1. Okay. Not only that, every element in UP now is expressed as R power something. Correct? So sorry, this direction is little complicated direction. So without using this, we cannot get it. Primitive element part. That's why it took longer time to prove this reverse direction. Okay, so we are here. So now can you tell me somebody that what is the relation between A and R now?
There exists K such that Rk is R raised to the power.
Very good. So there exists some K belong to natural number such that A is equal to R power K modulo P. So see, don't worry, even I not write modulo. Actually, everything we are doing in a modulo only. Yeah, so wonderful. So this is very useful. So every element is actually an R power some K. So A equal to R power K. Now what is that we have? What is given to us? A power p minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 modulo p is given. What is our goal? We need to show A is a quadratic residue. That means what is that we need to prove? X square equal to A mod p has a solution. So we need to bring that solution. Right? Okay, let us work out now. So can you people say now what is that I have to do from now onwards?
We can substitute for A.
A, okay. Then it is R power K power p minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 mod p. Okay, this much is fine. What next? So that means R power K times p minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 modulo p. What next? So you see that r power something is 1 mod p, but what is order of r?
P minus 1.
P minus 1.
So do you know some relation? For example, you have order of an element is equal to n and a power some l is equal to 1, then what happens?
N must divide
N
N.
divides L.
N divides L, right? N divides L. Okay. So Gaurav, I'll prove it later, okay?
Yes, sir.
So this is something actually. Order of element is the least positive integer. We can prove also. Now also we can prove by you will prove by using division algorithm only. You want me to prove here?
Sure, sir. If the time.
What happens is that see order of a equal to n, a power l equal to 1. I want to show that n divides l, right?
Hmm.
Now you have two numbers n and l. Then by division algorithm, what happens is that my l is equal to nq plus r, right?
Okay.
I'll go slowly. L is equal to nq plus r. What is that I have to show? N divides L. That means I have to show r equal to 0. Remainder is 0.
Okay.
So how to prove that one? So a power L equal to 1 means a power nq plus r equal to 1.
Right.
I am not writing that, okay?
Okay.
But a power n equal to 1. It's order. Okay, I not written order. Okay, see this is order is equal to means a power n equal also 1.
Okay.
Then what is that we will get? A power nq into a power r. But a power n is 1.
So a power q times a power r.
But a power n whole power q into a power r, right?
Yeah,
is
right.
equal to 1. But this is already 1. A power n is 1. What you get?
So a power n is 1.
Because order of a equal to n means a power n equal to 1. N is the smallest such that a power n equal to 1.
Okay. So in that case, our n is going to be 0.
No, don't worry. I'll again tell. Okay, it is, see, other people are telling, but they also do not know the proof. Okay, but I'll tell. Actually, it's why I'm telling the proof also to you that be confident, prove on the spot. Try to have that skill. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. See, order of a equal to n means first try to understand this. This means a power n is equal to 1, and not only that, n is the least with this property. That is the meaning of order.
Okay.
Now a power l equal to 1. Okay, but by this already I know that n is less than or equal to l. Why?
Because L is equal to nq plus r.
No, not for that. N is the least.
Okay.
N is already least, but now I am not only less than or equal. I am in fact telling n divides L.
Okay.
I'm not happy with only n less than or equal to L. My goal is even n divides L. I want to show.
Right.
For that, I am coming to the division algorithm. L is equal to nq plus r. I divide L by n. I'll get some remainder.
Okay.
Right. Now a power n equal to 1 and a power L equal to 1. Right.
So that means a power r is also equal to 1.
Very good. Wonderful. A power r equal to 1. But in the division algorithm, what do you know about r? 0 is r is less than
n.
N. But n is the least such that a power n equal to 1.
Right. So there can't be anything lesser than that.
So r has to be 0.
Right.
So that's the proof.
Okay.
Good. So now order is this one, and here I'll get r power something equal to 1 mod p. That means p minus 1 divides this quantity k into p minus 1 by 2. So that what that means, k times p minus 1 by 2 is equal to some p minus 1 times some km, right? But this means k is equal to 2m. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir.
So this implies 2 divides k. Are you able to see that?
Right.
So 2 divides k. So this implies what? This implies, what is this k? Where k came from? That we forgot. So where this k from? So here this k from. Somebody told R is a primitive root, then A is an element, then A equal to R power k. Now k is even. So what is that I done? It's simply k is even I proved. So k is equal to 2j for some j. So this implies what? So now A is equal to 2 power R power k. Na? A is equal to R power k. Now but A is equal to Rj whole square. Right? So this much I have. Okay, now what is going to this one? So yeah, so I think so this is modulo P. So what is the solution now? What happened here? X square is congruent to A mod P has a solution. What is the solution?
A is equal to RG squared.
No, that is okay. But this, so this equal to A, this has a solution. What is that X?
X is equal to R power J.
R power J. R power J is the solution. What is this R power J? It is J is this 2 into J, that J. Okay. In particular, this is a very beautiful thing that this proof is giving something. Okay. In the textbook is not written, but I'm telling you. See, if R is a primitive root, what happens? All the elements in UP look like R power 0, R power 1, R square, and so on, R power P minus 1, right? So how many of them are even exponents? How many of them are odd exponents?
P minus 1 by 2.
P minus 1 by 2 even, and they are the squares already. So they are the quadratic residues. So it's another approach to find the quadratic residues. Primitive root even power you take quadratic residue, otherwise quadratic non-residue. Done. Okay, but don't worry. Now what is that finally we proved? So we proved both the sides. Okay, so that's why I'm just writing. So Vishal, is it okay?
Yes, sir, I had one doubt. So could you just stop here? Yes, sir. Here, so you have written P minus 1 divides K into P minus 1 by 2. So, but if K was 1, we have not assumed that, then this would not happen, right?
So K equal to 1. Okay, A equal to R power K. So K equal to 1. So what happens if A itself is equal to R? That's your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, somebody.
But in the process, we have showed that it's even, so K cannot be 1.
No, but we have assumed that this divides, but
No,
it would not divide.
No. See, first of all, this is an integer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is an integer, R power K minus 1 by 2. P minus 1 by 2 is an integer. See, this is P minus 1 by 2 is an integer, R power K is an integer, entire thing is an integer.
Yes, sir.
In fact, instead of that, what Amya is telling, so finally you proved K equal to even. Right? K cannot be 1. From this also, we'll get it. Whatever it is, I'm not assuming what is K and all. Okay, only case is that, yeah, so good question actually. It is very interesting to object actually. Reasonable to object. Yeah. I'll agree to, so yeah, you need to ask questions like this. So do you work out further?
So what do you mean?
First of all, see P minus 1 by 2 integer, K is an integer.
Yes, sir.
Entire thing is an integer. There is no doubt in it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now p minus 1 divide this means actually this is also not a problem.
But so we are assuming that p minus 1 divides. What if this whole quantity was less than p minus 1? That would happen if k was 1.
No. So I'm not asking all those. I'm not looking what k equal to 1 or not and all. So that is the reason actually. I want to show that k is even. So I'm not assuming as such anything, whatever it is. So just k only I took. So you are clear that this k is an integer because this k comes from here.
Yes, sir.
Problem. So p minus 1 by 2, p is odd. So p minus 1 by 2 integer. No problem. So this is an integer, no problem. That's why, but order of this is p minus 1. So p minus 1 divides this, no problem. So these are this is integer, this is integer. So we have this. So till now, no problem, right? Is anything objecting you?
Only the so all this is clear. Like,
but your question should be something else. You need to ask again. You need to ask in such a way that is there any other way to ask your question? Yeah, good. I'm not saying what. Yeah. So as such, I do not see any difficulty or any mistake here writing this way, right? And then finally, I proved k equal to m and 2 divides k. But you need to object at some place. Not that I'll take k equal to 1. Why I take k equal to 1, right? Yeah. So I'm not going further. Yeah.
We have written p minus 1 divides k p minus 1 by 2. So how do we get this? Like,
this is getting that this is I told this proof I given. Order of a equal to n.
Okay.
A power l equal to 1, then n divides l.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so till now everything is clear. So we proved both the sides. So just write down one more time. What is that we done it? So P be an odd prime. P be an odd prime. Then so a power p minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 modulo p. If and only if A is quadratic residue. This we done. So this is called Euler's criteria. Right? Okay, good. But now I'll say more actually. So look at here carefully, understand this. I'm not proving much, okay? Even though time is 2 hours, I'm not proving much. I'm going slow so that you will be comfortable. You will enjoy while doing the chapter 9. Okay. See, A comma P GCD 1. By Fermat's little theorem, I already have a power p minus 1. A power p minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo p. Right? But this implies I can also write this as a minus 1 by 2 square is congruent to 1 modulo p. No problems, right? Right. This implies a power p minus 1 by 2 minus 1 into a power p minus 1 by 2 plus 1 congruent to, okay, so congruent to 0 mod p, or p divides this. Is it okay, Amya?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this implies what? P divides a power p minus 1 by 2 minus 1 or p divides a power p minus 1 by 2 plus 1. Okay. See, in mathematics, it is one nice place to understand. In mathematics, we have R. Means either this happen, both can also happen. You remember? X and Y are two real numbers. X into Y equal to 0 implies what? X equal to 0 or Y equal to 0. Or both also can be 0. That is allowed. Okay? That is inclusive R. mathematics mein. So if you go to some, I told this one, I tell you again. If you go to somebody's house, they will offer coffee and tea. You are a mathematician, you can allow to take both. But here, is it possible? That is a question. Is it possible that P divides both of them? I hope my question is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible? So P divides A power P minus 1, this one as well as this one. Suppose what happens. Okay, I'll write so that it will be clear to you. Suppose and P divides A power P minus 1 by 2 plus 1. So what is the meaning of that? A power P minus 1 by 2 is congruent to minus 1 modulo P. Okay. A power P minus 1 by 2 congruent to 1 modulo P also. Is it going to happen? Is it a tough question?
No, sir, it won't happen.
It won't happen. Why it cannot happen?
Because it will leave a residue of -1, and that is not possible.
We are assuming P is odd, right?
P is odd. Correct. P is odd because that what if from these two, you see that 1 is congruent to minus 1 mod P. Congruency is transitivity property. You can write one is congruent to P minus 1 like that, whatever. So we'll get in this. That means P divides 2. But P is odd. Is it okay, Gaurav, now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is that we proved now? It is not possible both at a time. Okay. So then from that, what is that conclusion we can make now? So A power P minus 1 by 2 is congruent to 1 modulo P if and only if A is quadratic residue. This we know. If and only if, right? Suppose now A is not quadratic residue. Then what happens? A power P minus 1 by 2 is not 1. That much I know. But now what is that I know? If it is not 1.
Only other possibility is
It
minus.
is -1.
So please try to understand why I'm making that much. See, P power P minus 1 by 2 not 1 does not imply -1. But here we proved it is 1 or -1. So we have another beautiful thing coming from the, he is not only, he told that this much only. So that means that if A is not quadratic residue, then it is not congruent to 1, that much only. But we done a little exploration here. So that helped me that, A power P minus 1 by 2 is always 1 or -1. That we done. And exactly one of them will happen. So from that we conclude this. Okay. So Euler's criteria is helping to get these things. Okay. But I will not continue now because already 2 hours time. So you have any questions, please ask me.
Sir, where can we find this recording?